UFC 321 this weekend, Aspinall versus Gane in Abu Dhabi. Super hyped, super stacked card. Going to be giving my full fight card breakdown, starting with the first fight, Jaqueline Amorim versus Mizuki. Mizuki Inoue. Don't let the last name fool you. She hasn't had a win since 2023. Super inactive, not as good. I can totally see why the odds are 330. Watch some film on Jacqueline Amorim. Pretty dangerous striker, super dangerous grappler. All of her wins have came by finish. I think this is a pretty fairly easy lock. I have Jacqueline Amorim by sub, maybe round two, depending if she can box him up on the feet, do good on the stand up. I can see a TKO early against Mizuki, but overall, I think it's gonna be kind of like a out kind of feeling out first round, and in the second round she kind of realizes that she has no answer to her takedown, and just I think it's just downhill from there. Second fight of the night, we got a flyweight bout between Azat Maksum and Mitch Raposo. Don't really know how to say either names, not gonna lie, don't care too much. I think both these fighters are fighting for their UFC contract. Both are on 2-fight loss streaks. Although I think the odds here are a little bit too much in favor of Azat Maxim. Haven't seen much. I haven't seen anything impressive out of both of them. What can I say? But although I do think, as if I remember correctly, I think he had a close fight with Charles Johnson and a somewhat close fight with Tagir. I would say just off that alone, I would pick him to beat Mitch Raposo. Look through Raposo's career, is 0-2 in the UFC. I haven't seen anything impressive. I know he has a pretty good KO submission, but I just don't think he's at that level yet. I think he's too much of a tadpole. I think he's too young. Maybe in a few years come back, but I think this is pretty easy as that Maxim by like the most boring 29-28 decision you'll ever see. Third fight of the night, we have a heavyweight bout between Hamdy Abdelwahab versus Chris Barnett. Hamdy was originally booked to fight Muhammad Usman, the brother of Kamaru Usman. I think Usman got popped for like PD, something of that type of sort. And Chris Barnett, decent fighter. I feel like he's more entertaining than he is good. He always like spams these emotes he has or whatever. He's pretty athletic for his build. I'm not gonna lie, probably more athletic than I would be if I was his size. But I know in the last fight he just got brutalized by Kennedy Nezuchuku, if that's how you say his name. No shame in that. Nezuchuku is one of the best. I feel like not the best, but he's a decent heavyweight. He has good power. He's a huge guy, so I don't think that should be too much of a knock. Hamdi, haven't seen much from him. But just based off like a pure vibes, I do have Hamdi by like maybe a round 2 KO. Let's check win by. Okay, he only wins by KOs. So I will be picking Hamdi by a round 2, maybe even a round 1 KO. I could see Chris Barnett pulling out the bag and just having like a Derek Lewis against whatever like that super tall guy. His name starts with the T. Oh, Taliesin Teixeira type of performance where he just knocks the taller guy out. But again, if we peep his build, not looking too good. Have Hamdi by maybe a round 2 KO or boring decision where both fighters end up just gassing and just clinching against each other. Fourth fight of the night, we have a featherweight bout between Nathaniel Wood and Jose Delgado. Jose recently picked up a win at UFC 317. I actually saw a live crazy finish in like I believe like the first 20 or 30 seconds. Nathaniel Wood, I believe he's been in the UFC for a decent amount of time. Get some finishes here and there. More of like a win-loss fighter. Hasn't really cracked the rankings. I think like the last I've heard of him, he had like some beef with Lerone Murphy. They're both. I don't know what that's all about, but anyways, in this fight, I feel like the advantages are definitely to Jose. I think he has way crisper striking. He's faster. He's a bit of the taller guy. I think he's probably gonna catch him on early. Actually, I know Jose's on like a 3-fight knockout streak. I think the streak is gonna continue. I think probably by the first round, Nathaniel Wood. He's a bit of a. I think he's a little bit of more. He likes to lean a little bit on his grappling, especially when he gets lit up on the feet. I watched some of his Cage Warrior fights, some of his older fights. Every time he kind of starts getting lit up, he just kind of shoots. I think Jose is pretty smart. I think his team has probably devised a decent game plan. I think he's just gonna light him up and just finish him with probably within the first. I don't think these odds are as good as I don't think these odds are as close as the fight's actually gonna be. I think Jose is probably just gonna go out there and light him up within the first round, probably knock him out. But yeah. Coming up to our next fight, we have Valter Walker, who I believe is Johnny Walker's brother, versus Louie Sutherland. I think Walker's on a bit of a resurgence. I think he's won like 3 or 4 in a row. Just recently submitted Kennedy Nezuchuku by a heel hook. Sutherland, I think he's a new signing. Based on from what I've watched, I just think Louis the type of fighter where when he gets gassed, he gets gassed. Like he's such a big guy, especially when it comes to like both muscle and fat. I feel like he's kind of one of those guys where if you just take him down and drown him, like he has nothing for the next couple of rounds. I watched some of his performances out of the UFC, didn't see anything impressive. I think the odds are right here. I do have Valter Walker probably by like a rear naked choke, round one, round two. I just don't think he has an answer for when he gets taken down. I think Valter Walker has the experience, he has the size on him, like when it comes to the length. I think he just has every tool in his box. Just when he takes him down, he just is gonna drown him. Like I've not seen anything impressive out of Louis Sutherland. He just kind of seems like the average bulky heavyweight that knocks people out with one punch. But besides that, like there's nothing that really stood out to me. I think Valter Walker, he seems like a decent prospect. I feel like if he can keep picking up wins, I know his like chin seems is a little bit fairly untested. I do like his grappling though. It's not the greatest, but I will say that he just has the matchup here. I think he just is everything is just leaning towards him. I just don't see a way that I can see Louis Sutherland winning. So I probably have Valter Walker probably by a round one rear naked choke. Next fight we have Abdul Kareem Al Sawadi and Matheus Camilo. Um, Both of these guys, I think probably their first or second. I think Camilo is debuting, and I think Abdul is just like first or second. I'm not too sure. Both fairly new to UFC. Both their records are not haven't had too many fights, not that battle tested. I will say from what I've seen, Abdul is a little bit of a stockier kind of fighter. He likes to wrestle a little bit. He likes to, have that kind of Ilia Topuria stance, wide base, kind of jabbing in and out type of stance when he's boxing. Mateusz, I think he likes to grapple a little bit. I did see and his striking seems decent. Seems a little like he's using his range as he should, as being like 5'10". I will say from what I've both seen, um Abdul, when he kind of gets into that mode of just striking, he leaves himself vulnerable a lot, especially when going for takedowns or going for like looping overhands. I was watching one of his fights where he actually got slept by I think it was like a right kick, or it was like a knee, or it was something, but completely slept, left wide open. I will say, just based on like the size, Mateo seems to pose a little bit more of a threat when it comes to the striking, and also unless Abdul's wrestling is supreme, I didn't see nothing too impressive. And I know Matheus is also not a bad grappler himself. I feel like from what I'm seeing, I think maybe Matheus by comfortable decision. I'm not sure I'm seeing a finish in here. Both these guys they have finishes, but it's a lot in the regional scene. I will say keys to victory for maybe Abdul would be if he does have that potent wrestling, that grappling that I haven't personally seen. I would say if he's good at that, I would say he can probably just drown him out like that. But on the feet, unless he has like the crisp boxing again, like I've seen, not too confident. I do have Matheus Camilo by probably decision 29-28, 30-27, or maybe like a submission. I don't know. Not too sure. Next fight we have Ludovit Klein versus Matheus Rebecki in a lightweight bout. Recently I watched Matheus Rebecki have like almost like a fight of the year candidate with Oral By. I don't know if it was fight of the year. I think it might have been Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, but craziest fight, just both brawling. Probably lost years off their life on that fight. That was nuts. Ludovit Klein, I think he was on like a decent win streak before he recently lost to Mateusz Gamrot. Beat Ignacio Bahamondes, pretty impressive. I think he I don't know if he outstruck him, but watched over the fight. It was a pretty solid performance. I would say definitely Ludovit Klein seems to have the cleaner, more crisp striking. Haven't seen too much of his grappling, but I know he has pretty decent takedown defense. Let me look here. Yeah, his takedown defense is pretty good. Doesn't really take down too much. Takedown accuracy is decent. I would say also I believe he is the oh no, they're the same height, but he does have the reach advantage. I believe this fight's gonna be a lot of stand up, just in and out, piecing up. I do believe Ludwig Klein is gonna probably get it done by pretty substantial decision, or maybe even a late finish. I think Mateusz Rebecki he gets hit. He's very hittable. I feel like a lot of times he enters with his chin in the air. He seems to likes to bum rush and also just go into these heated exchanges where often he's taking as much damage as the opponent, as witnessed with Oral By. I just believe Ludovic is just a bit better with his distance management. I think he's quicker. He has more of a pop on his jab, especially against when he was fighting against a taller fighter like Ignacio. I think Ignacio was like almost like 5 inches taller than him, 6 inches taller than him, I might say, like maybe even taller than that, and he was still controlling well, hitting him well. So I just think in this kind of fight, especially when there's not like a huge threat of the takedown like there is with Gamrot, I just think that Ludovit's just gonna get a decent, pretty easy box, just gonna box him down. I'm not, yeah, I don't see too much like KO potential here. Maybe if one of them gets caught super clean, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a decent, pretty good performance win by Ludovit. Klein, I think he's just gonna outpiece him, outstrike him, just do what he does, cruise to a decent decision. Next fight of the night, we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Junyong Park, the Iron Turtle, in the middleweight bout. This is one of the ones I'm looking forward to. Ikram, rangy kickboxer, likes to use his distance, use his kicks. Junyong Park, like kind of like a shell, like an Iron Turtle, just like his name describes him, thudding, shelled up, very decent defense. My pick here, first upset of the night, I have Junyong Park by KO or submission. I think Ikram has good kicks. I think he moves well. He has good cage control. The one thing I will say is a knock against Park is that I feel like he gets backed up a lot in his fights. Oftentimes I see him kind of on the back foot. He gets caught a lot with these jabs, with these like like shots around the guard, hooks around the guard. But I don't think Ikram relies that much on his boxing. I think he's more of like a kickboxer, a rangy fighter. I think although Junyong Parks, let me look here. I think his grappling isn't the greatest. Like his takedown isn't that good. I just do think that he has kind of like the bone density, like just like an iron turtle. I think he has the thudding power. I think it's gonna. I think first round, obviously Ikram's gonna pick him apart on the feet, outstrike him, outdistance him. But I think he's just gonna get tired. I think Junyong Park's just gonna shell up, absorb those hits, pop him a couple times, once or here or there. I do think that eventually it will kind of lead up into maybe looping left overhand, something like that. I just do think just the way I kind of picture this fight is, especially with these kicks, maybe Ikram gets a little bit, loosey goosey, gets a little overconfident, starts throwing his kicks with his hands down. But I think Junyong Park, I feel like he's just gonna get it done. I feel like he's gonna spring out of nowhere, get that KO, just get something crazy done. Because although I feel like the Robert Whitaker that beat Ikram was probably on the tail end of his prime, I don't think that's a bad loss at all. Don't get me wrong, but I just think the other fighters he's kind of fought, like Andre Muniz, Warley Alves, Phil Hawes, I feel like they're kind of just cans. I feel like they're kind of squishy. They've been finished a lot. They're kind of just like feeders. You feed them to the dogs, feed them to the sharks. But I feel like Junyong Park has more resilience than any fighter he's ever fought. I think he has underrated power. Although he doesn't have that many KOs. I feel like he does have underrated power. I know he likes to jump the gilly a lot, jump the sub, but I just think it's just gonna be like he can't break through the shell. He can't break through the Iron Turtle. I think Ikram's gonna kick and kick. He's gonna try something, clinch up a little bit, try some infighting. But I just think Junyong Park's gonna wear him down, out stamina him, out skill him. I think he's just gonna catch him, knock him down, jump on his back, get a rear naked choke, or ground and pound him. That's my pick. I got Junyong Park by finish. Next fight we have Nasrat Hakparast. Sorry for butchering his name. And Quillen Saw killed in a lightweight bout. Pretty excited. I think these guys are both decent prospects. As you know, Quillen knocked out the GOAT of Indian MMA, Anshul Jubilee. And Nasrat Hartpass seems to be on a bit of a steamroll. I know he recently beat Esteban Rivix in a split decision. Pretty impressive win. My pick here is probably Nasrat by a comfortable decision, maybe a finish, although can't be giving out too many finishes this card. But just based on what I've seen, I know Nasrat likes to do is kind of like Joaquin Buckley blitz style. He kind of goes in with his head down, throws these overhand shots when the opponent overextends. I know he likes to do a little bit of a cross guard as well. Quillen, I know he's decent. I think he shoots well. He seems to have pretty good takedowns. His striking seems pretty good. I mean, if you're knocking out Anshul, you gotta have the greatest striking ever. But anyways, I think his striking's pretty good, pretty rangy. I will say the one thing is that I haven't seen too much about how Nasrat adapts to kicks. I don't know if that's in Quillen Salkill's bag. But I just will say from what I've seen, he lost to Dan Hooker, lost to Bobby Green, Nasrat. He seems to been a bit of a tadpole back then. Right now, I believe he's on like a 5-fight winning streak. Quillen Salkid, I think he's on in the UFC a 2-fight winning streak, and he's on a huge. I think he's on like a 9-fight winning streak outside the UFC. But even though it seems like they're both pretty pretty amazing fighters on just a career trajectory towards each other. I just think Nasrat has more. I think he just packs a bit of more of a punch. I like his striking a little bit better. As you can see here, Nasrat has a higher hit KO percentage, but that doesn't really mean too much. But just from based on what I've seen from his fight with Dan Hooker, I mean, as you know, Dan Hooker's a pretty high level striker. Um, I couldn't even say he got dominated. I think it was a fairly competitive fight. I think he just has the means to catch him on an overhand, catch him on something. I just think he has that quick in and out, shifty movie, duck behind the shoulders, duck around, duck under shots. Like, I just believe that Nasrat, he has experience fighting these taller fighters. I just think his power combined with his experience, and also Quillen's only has 2 fights in the UFC. So I just think out experience, just better striking. I just have Nasrat here by I believe a decision. I mean, if we go on to the takedown as well, I know Quillen seems to be 8.4 takedowns every 15 minutes. Pretty impressive, but as you can see, Nasrat's no slouch in the takedown defense either. I believe if this game plan, it will kind of all boil down to whoever can stop whose game plan. I know Nasrat's game plan is most likely going to be just box his head off on the feet, just outstrike him. I know Quillen, if he can get him down, if Quillen can get Nasrat down to the ground, I do believe this fight will be closer than you think. But I don't think that 84% takedown defense is anything to scoff at. I just believe that the tools in his bag will, just allow him to probably just, defend a little bit of takedowns, box him up a little bit, get him a little tired, and a comfortable decision victory for Nasrat Haqparast. Huge, super exciting fight to start off the main card. We have Alexander Rakic versus Azamat Murzakanov in a light heavyweight bout. Both fighters, super entertaining strikers. I love a good old strike fest in these heavier divisions because, I mean, most of them always turn out to be KOs. Alexander, I think he's on a 3-fight losing streak, all decently close though. I think his last loss was to Ankalaev. I think it was like 29-28. Last loss, before that, got KO'd by Yuri Prohaska. But honestly, in the first round, he was piecing Yuri up. And then the loss before that to Jan Blachowicz, former champ, nothing to scoff at. Azat Murzakanov, I know I think he's on like a 3-fight KO streak, I believe. Yeah, no, 2-fight KO streak. Had a good decision against Dustin Kobe and had two KOs before that in the UFC. But my pick here, it's gonna be Azamat Murzakanov, probably by KO. Watching back, I mean, I watched the Yuri fight live and the Ankalaev fight live. I think that Ankalaev a little bit more patient, not as much as a finisher. People say he's boring. He's not boring. He's more patient with the shots. He likes to outpoint, outstrike. Certainly against Rakic, he was just piecing him up, outboxing him, all that type of stuff, leg kicks, all that. With Yuri, Rakic was doing pretty impressive. He was catching Yuri, but the one thing I will say, overextended. Rakic got caught so many times overextended. Even I think it was like a left hook that Yuri caught him clean. He ducked it. He slipped. I think Rakic was throwing something like a right. I don't know. Rakic was throwing something overextended, got slipped, and just got caught flush in the chin by Yuri. Watching Azamat, especially against his fight against Alonzo Menifield, man, he just takes advantage of every single thing, every single mistake. He's just on you. He's like a shark. His distance control is super well. He's quick. He level changes well. He likes to throw these overhands, the same ones that seem to just land pretty flush on Alexander. I will say the one thing, the height difference, I think it'll play a little bit of a difference. I know Rakic likes his leg kicks. I think that there will be maybe some issue in the first, just kind of figuring him out because Rakic, he's pretty slick. He moves decently well against Yuri, a little bit slicky. Doesn't like to get back to him in the fence, likes to circle around. But I think Azamat is just too clean, too precise on his striking. I think he moves well. I think he packs a huge punch. I remember seeing this video about someone talking about how Ilia Topuria, most of his weight comes from his bone density, right? I think a lot of these shorter fighters fighting in these heavier divisions, like you're asking me how someone like, what's his name, Yoel Alvarez and Naxio Bahamondes can make the same weight as Ilia, right? Like these guys are almost like 8 inches taller than Ilia, right? And I think it just comes down to a lot of bone density. I think Azamat is one of these fighters, shortened for his division, but packs a huge punch. A huge punch. I think if he catches Rakic on the chin, who also isn't even known for having that good of a chin, I think it's sleep. I think he's going complete to sleep. I think the way I kind of see this fight going out, first round, Rakic, does a little popping in and out. imitation of Yuri, although not as good. Gonna blast some leg kicks here and there. I think Azamat high guard just kind of walks him down, just walks him down, catches him, and I don't think round one. I think he's a little bit more patient than that, but I do see like a round two, round three KO from Azamat. Um, Although I can see it going both ways. I know Rakic has some decent power in his hands, and this is a pretty big step up for Azamat from from let me see, Brenson Ribeiro. So although we haven't seen Azamat tested that much, I just think from like a stylistic, analytical point of view, from just seeing whose weapons, whose weaknesses, I would just have Azamat by a KO. That's my pick for this fight. Alexander Volkov versus Jailton Almeida in a heavyweight bout, most likely title eliminator. Boy, am I excited for this one. Jailton Almeida seemingly unstoppable besides, hiccup against Curtis Blades. People are thinking he's the one to beat Tom because he's the only like competent grappler. But honestly, I think Volkov gets this one done. I think although there is obviously the grappling advantage, I just think Volkov has the far better striking, far better range, and obviously too, I just don't think people are just acting like he's just gonna get sat there and just let Jailton take him down. Like he obviously got robbed against Ciryl Gane. He beat Sergey Pavlovich. He choked out Tai Tuivasa. Like he hasn't been super active, but I feel like he's definitely taken a step up since his past losses, of course. But I think even though I don't think Jailton Almeida is nothing to slack on though. I think he's definitely still super good. I watched his fight with Sergey Spivak live where he just absolutely just ran through him. He ran through Alexander Romanov before, had a UD against Derek Lewis, ran through Shamil, Abdur and Jarzino Rosenstrike before. Man, this guy's on a roll, but I just believe in the hype of Alexander Volkov. I think he's super good. I think his boxing, I think his striking is super crisp, probably second to maybe Ciryl Gane. I think even you can make a case that he's better at striking than Tom. Tom just has his power, right? But I think definitely too height is gonna play a big factor into this fight. I know someone was saying I remember reading somewhere on the internet that apparently Alexander is 6'9", even taller than he's listed. I think it's gonna be a huge problem for you to take down someone tall. I mean, I'm a pretty tall guy myself, and sometimes with my friends who are pretty good, like it's almost like you can just stand there and just, especially someone he's gonna be training his takedown defense is what I'm trying to say. And I think yes, Jailton Almeida is huge. I mean, look, his physique is nuts. Like I do think he has the means to take him down, but I just don't think it's gonna be like a drown. I don't think he's just gonna drown him, take him down, and submit him. I just don't see it. Like everybody's hyping Jailton Almeida up as the one who's gonna stop Tom, but I don't even think he gets past Volkov. I think Volkov, his weapons are just gonna be his height and his experience. I think he's far more experienced fighting at the higher level. Jailton Almeida has only fought maybe one or two elite guys in Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades, if you can even consider them. He hasn't fought no one. He hasn't fought Pavlovich. He hasn't fought anybody who I would consider to be at that level of Alexander Volkov. And yes, he has the grappling, but he doesn't really have much else. I feel like he has decent striking, but that's against cans, right? That's against people like Sergey Spivak, right? But all in all, I just feel like the step up in competition is too much. I feel like he's getting pushed a little bit too fast. I mean, obviously, I feel like his grappling also, just like I said, how he's untested against the higher level, his grappling is also untested, right? If you look at here, his takedown 6.5 per minute, one of the highest in the heavyweight division. I know he also has a record for, I think it's him or Tom, something about being controlled is some of the lowest in the division. Like I do see, I definitely see a possibility where he can kind of just get Volkov down early, gas him out, and submit him, or just win a comfortable decision. But my gut's going with Volkov. I just think he has every single whenever you see these kind of like wrestlers, when you see these guys who just their game plan is to just take you down. Like besides Marab, of course, Marab is a monster. But like for example, if you look at like Gamrot versus Hooker, right? A controversial decision, I know, but I just think, especially when there is that like size discrepancy, unless you are just going to pick up Marab, like pick up someone like Marab does with Sean, but Sean's also not that big of a guy, right? When you're talking about someone who's allegedly 6'9", who's probably way like it says 254 here, he's probably walking around fight day 260, 270, right? It's just not going to be easy for you to just walk up and pick this guy. I feel like the boxing, everything. I feel like he's just gonna strike him, just tire him out, and I can so see a finish. I know I've been saying I can see a finish, but this card is just that stacked. I feel like there's so many fighters with underrated power, underrated striking on this card, and I believe Volkov is one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC in the heavyweight division. So I think it's just not. It's nothing you can really say besides like I just think that Jailton Almeida is just he's too untested. I think Volkov is just gonna give him a wake up call, show him what the top five of the heavyweight division is really about. And I have Volkov by comfortable decision, maybe a risky pick by KO, but I have Volkov by 29-28. Umar Nurmagomedov against Mario Bautista in a bantamweight bout. I assume the winner of this fight most likely gets Merab. Umar coming off a loss to Merab. Nothing to slack at. Obviously, you just lost to the GOAT of the division. I mean, you're good. You're a bounce back. Mario Bautista, I think he's coming off a win off against Jose Aldo before this, and then Patchy Mix. I personally think, I mean, the odds are nuts, right? Negative 600 to negative 625 against plus 455. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I mean, I do see it's similar to the Corey fight where Umar's just gonna take him down and drown him, but I still feel like there's a chance for Mario Bautista, right? He's slick boxing, slick. He's a pretty good base. I mean, against his fight against Jose Aldo, like I still, I mean, big Aldo fan. I feel like Aldo won that fight for sure, but can't take too much credit away from him. He still did decent enough to a point where the judges thought that he could have won. And obviously against Patchy Mix, I mean, but Patchy Mix is a buns fighter, flat-footed guard. Like there's like a big hole in his guard. I feel like almost every jab that Mario threw was landing, right? I do think the odds are justified here. I think Umar has the nasty kicks, the takedown, and I feel like his pace is going to be vastly improved since his fight with Corey. I feel like the fight with Merab was a huge eye opener. I mean, you know that Khabib camp, like that, no slouching. I feel like it's just going to be nonstop. They're probably pressing him, you know, to just get his cardio up, run this. So I feel like he's going to be a completely different monster since the last time we saw him. I think he's just going to absolutely run through Mario. I feel like it's not even going to be close. I could see like a first or second round finish. Like, again, oh my God, why are you giving out so many finishes? Because there's so many underrated fighters. Every single fighter here has an underrated tool. So I feel like Umar, rejuvenated off his loss against Merab, is just gonna absolutely run through Mario, probably within one or two rounds. I think Mario, he might have some tools to this success. I mean, his takedown defense is not that bad. Like 2/3 of the time, he's 67%. Like not horrible, but I mean, he's outclassed everywhere. Like he's outclassed in the striking, outclassed in the wrestling. Like besides maybe chin and maybe power, I feel like there's just the only way I can see Mario beating Umar is literally if one day I guess he just gets some God-given strength and just out clinches him on the fence like he did to Jose Aldo, or sleeps him out cold. Neither of the outcomes I can ever see possibly happening. So give me Umar Nurmagomedov by round two submission. As not even submission. I feel like Umar doesn't have too many submissions. Yeah, I mean, he does have a decent amount. I don't know. I would say comfortable Umar by probably round two finish, probably maybe even a decision. I really think that Mario has no answers for anything that Umar puts up. The Khabib camp is brutal. I know whatever they're putting to that man Umar through right now, all of it is coming out against Mario. All of his pain from losing the Merab fight is going to be output onto Mario on a Saturday night. So I think Mario is completely dead this fight. I think he's just going to get absolutely ran through. So my pick is Umar, most likely by KO or sub. First title fight of the night, the vacant women's strawweight bout, Virna Jandiroba against Mackenzie Dern. I am super surprised to see that Virna Jandiroba is the underdog. I feel like it's mainly due to the fact that Mackenzie Dern beat her a couple years ago. But I mean, I'm surprised, shocked almost, that the UFC gave a title fight to someone who was 2-3 in their last 5. I do feel like it's definitely because Wei Li has ran through the division, like Zhang Daonan, like Amanda Lemos, both fighters which Virna comfortably beat. I feel like it is almost laughable that Virna is the underdog here, even like stylistically. I mean, if we look at how most of their wins, they're both grapplers, right? But I mean, just from what I've seen, I don't understand how someone can be the underdog. I mean, yeah, MMA math is not the greatest, but Virna lost to Mackenzie 5 years ago and has beaten two fighters who has beaten Mackenzie, right? in comfortable fashions. Mackenzie's also 2-5 in her 2-3 in her last five. Right, I think Verna is on a 5-fight winning streak. Last loss to Amanda Ribas, but all by comfortable unanimous decision. I just don't see how Verna can be the underdog here. But I mean, I'm sure you guys already know my pick. I have Verna probably by comfortable decision. I feel like she just has all the tools. I think she's a better grappler than Mackenzie. I think Mackenzie might be a better wrestler, but I think when it comes to the feet, the scrambles, the submission game, I feel like Verna's just a little bit more dangerous. I feel like one underrated part of this fight that we won't like that people are kind of sleeping on a little bit is the striking. I feel like people just see, oh, two grapplers. Mackenzie's already beaten Verna. Most grappling exchanges are about skill, right? There's no lucky quote unquote KO. You can't luckily finish someone on the ground, right? Like unless they just give up their neck for some random reason, right? But I would say the striking is definitely going to be an underrated aspect here. I feel like Verna has better, more crisp boxing. I mean, if we take a look at the significant strikes here, yeah, I feel like yes, she lands a little bit less than Mackenzie does on paper. But when I was looking at this fight with Shandao Nan, Xiao Nan Yan, sorry, I completely butchered her name. Whatever I said before, and Amanda Lembos, like she was doing well on the feet against them, right? And these are people who, yes, got absolutely brutalized by Wei Li, but still like were title challengers, right? I just think that the striking is just gonna come down to it's just about who makes the mistake to get taken down, right? And if we look at the takedown defense too, Jandaroba has a way better takedown defense than Mackenzie Dern. I feel like the stats itself are almost just what what are we really looking at here, right? I don't know. Maybe my information is wrong and Mackenzie Dern is not as big of a grappler as I thought, but just from what I've seen, I just feel like Verna again, just like I said before, for most fighters, has the better tools than Mackenzie on both the striking and the grappling. I feel like I wouldn't say sub. I feel like it's just. I mean, I feel like it's just gonna be most like a chess match between like who's taking the back, who's taking the control. Whatever pitter patter shots on the feet. But I just feel like Verna just has everything on her side. I feel like this is a very very undervalued underdog right here. I feel like plus 130 is almost disrespectful to someone who's on a 5-fight winning streak and her last two opponents beat Mackenzie Dern, right? I feel like it's a little bit confusing, but for me, my pick, Verna Jandaroba, and new women's strawweight champ of the world, comfortably gets a comfortable win against Mackenzie Dern. Again, could be shocked. Mackenzie Dern could come out of literally nowhere and pull off the the first KO win of her career, but or maybe just inch out a decision, whatever. But my pick, Verna Jandaroba by comfortable decision. Well. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane headlining the heavyweight title in UFC Abu Dhabi. I don't think this is even going to be close. I think this will literally I think Aspinall will send Ciryl Gane to the Shadow Realm. I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be another one of those things where it's like, oh, standing up for the women's strawweight belt to go pee, I come back and the fight's already over, right? Like, I think Tom Aspinall is going to absolutely smoke him. Every single reasoning I've heard for Ciryl Gane to win has literally just been, oh, he has better cardio. Oh, and he survived Ngannou, and Ngannou has better power than Tom Aspinall. It doesn't matter because Tom Aspinall also has the ground game, right? When we talk about Jailton Almeida earlier about being the one to beat Aspinall, it was because of his ground game. But Ciryl Gane has no ground game. There's no threat he poses to Tom Aspinall. We've seen Ciryl Gane land. The last person he finished was Sergey Spivak in Tai Tuivasa. If you think like like not arguably, he literally robbed Alexander Volkov, right? He has really no threat on the feet in terms of KO. He's more of like a patience guy. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like Leon Edwards. Like once he gets going, he gets going. A little bit on this, like if he just keeps on battering you up, like just like he did to Ty, right? He'll just finish you, right? But you're gonna expect Tom to just sit there and take it. Like I'm so confused on why people think Ciryl even has a chance. I think it's literally just gonna be first round. Tom does his little, shakes his little arms around, bouncing it out with his jab. It's going to get into one or two exchanges, and then Cyril's going to be put completely lights out. Or even Tom could even just make it easy for himself, train his wrestling, just because Tom has good submission game too. He's just going to take Ciryl and submit him in the first round. I cannot believe this is even a question. I don't think this fight is lasting past the first round. I think Tom is absolutely going to steamroll Ciryl. when you look at Tom's past fights with people like Volkov, Blades, like every single one of these fighters have had some sort of I guess like gimmick that they could maybe be argued to beat Tom. There's nothing for Ciryl here. Unless you expect Ciryl to somehow survive and just dance around to a decision win against the most dangerous fighter in UFC history, it just makes no sense to me. There's no gimmick, there's no skill, there's nothing in Ciryl bag can he pull out to beat Tom Aspinall. I think that this will be the best Tom Aspinall we've ever seen because it's going to be his first time headlining a card, right? His first main event, his first fight as undisputed champ. He's going to want to prove to everybody that Jones was ducking him for a reason, right? I'm going to do Ciryl worse than Jones did him. I think that's the mentality that Tom has, right? And look at Ciryl. This guy lost to Ngannou. He lost to Jones. Like, yes, they're heavyweight goats, but there's no, like, he's fought cans, right? Junior Dos Santos after his prime. Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Volkov in the past, but that was tadpole Volkov, I would say. That was when Volkov was losing to people like Aspinall as well back in the day, right? Derek Lewis ground and pound. I mean, but Derek Lewis also, he has every advantage against Derek Lewis. A shorter fighter who relies on that one punch power. Tom doesn't rely on that one punch power. Every punch has power to knock you out, right? Also, Lewis not as tall. It doesn't handle kicks as well, right? And then lost to Ngannou, beat Tai Tuivasa, but that was Tai Tuivasa has the most fraudulent climb to the top 3 of all time. He's the most fraudulent heavyweight. This guy's on a 7 or I think like a 7-fight losing streak. I don't even know how he's in the UFC. He's a fraud. I'm not counting that as any sort of. But Tom Aspinall would beat Tai Tuivasa with the first touch on his glove, right? I don't think it's even a question. And then lost to Jones by sub. Like I just think, I think it's like I'm honestly confused. I was thinking at night, I was watching these different types of fight breakdowns. I don't even know how anybody can even argue. I saw this one guy on TikTok say he's gonna bet like skydiving or shaving his head that Ciryl beats. But buddy, you're cooked. You're cooked. There's no world, there's no alternative universe where I can see that Tom Aspinall loses to Ciryl in any way. He's not going to outpoint him. He's not going to outstrike him. He's no way he's going to. I think it's literally going to be a one and done. 1 or 2 exchanges, and Ciryl is out cold. Out completely cold. He robbed Volkov. He has no standout moments in his last 2 fights, last 3 fights, besides beating a Sergey Spivak. Sergey Spivak. Are we serious? I think a ranked light heavyweight could grind and bulk up and beat Sergey Spivak. Any single ranked light heavyweight, right? We're beating cans here. We're comparing cans here. This is Tom Aspinall, the most dangerous fighter, shortest average fight time, the future heavyweight GOAT. I think Ciryl is going to get absolutely steamrolled. I think he's just going to be a forever journeyman. You're never getting the belt, buddy, unless somehow, some way, Tom Aspinall loses to like an Alex Pereira, for example, which is also super unlikely. I think Alex has a better chance to beat Aspinall than Ciryl. Really, he has. I said multiple times, like Ciryl has no gimmick, not even like a little bit of some way magic trick he can pull out his bag to beat Aspinall. I think it's gonna be the most dominant steamroll ever. Just like I said so many times before, 1 or 2 exchanges, and then Ciryl is gonna be lights out cold. Anyways, guys, these are my thoughts and predictions for UFC 321 Aspinall versus Gane in Abu Dhabi. Let me know how I did. Let me know if you have any pick discretions. If you are a Ciryl Gane advocate out there, leave your reasoning in the comments. I'm so intrigued to know what people think he's going to do. Anyways, remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Got more videos coming out soon. This is my first video. Let me know how I did. Any recommendations, for example, like the mic, the stream, the mic, any audio recommendations, just let me know. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy watching the card. Come back to this video. Just let me know how everything went. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.